Is your WordPress site performing at the highest level? I'm going to give you 8 tips to ensure that your WordPress site is performing at the highest level and that you're getting the best ROI on your website. Number 1, make sure that you define your goals and that you understand how to track those goals to determine whether or not your website is effective. An example goal is a contact form. User hits your website, they hit your contact form, then you can follow up with them, potentially making a sale. That's a very simple goal, but having a way to track that and see what the effectiveness is very important to ensure that your website's performing. Number 2 is understanding your user journey. It goes hand in hand with your goals, but understanding which touch points on your website is the user most engaged with, or how they're getting to that contact form and how effective and how quickly they convert, what that conversion rate looks like throughout the journey. And even outside of the website, understanding where they're coming from, which social media posts they're interacting with, if it was from an email, etc. Really understanding the user journey and making sure that it's aligned with your end goal for your website. Number 3, make sure your website design or user interface is completely consistent and it's following a very nice modern aesthetic for a website design. It goes a long way to show professionalism and just giving a pleasant user experience through easy to use user interfaces and a web design. Number 4, think about SEO and also make sure to plan for the AI revolution that we're in, where users are now just searching and then generative AI is giving them snippets of, like what their answer is, and then websites are actually being linked as sources. So understanding what you do on your website needs to change in the new world of AI and SEO, but also following SEO best practices that have always been there, like keyword trends and making sure that you're talking about the right topics that your users want you to talk about, etc. Number 5, optimize for Google's Core Web Vitals. Google's Core Web Vitals is essentially the metric that Google uses to determine if your site is loading quick enough, if it's giving a pleasant user experience, if you have broken pages or broken links on your site. Essentially, it's when it boils down to the end user and the experience that they're having, and you have to make sure that you're passing on Google Core Web Vitals. I'll make sure to link Google's Core Web Vitals testing tool, PageSpeed Insights, in the description below so you can see where your site sits on the Google Core Web Vitals. Number 6, make sure you have a user-friendly way to update content on your website. You update content on your website typically through a CMS. Some websites are called static sites that it's all code and you got to know what you're doing there. But in most cases, there is a CMS that you can log into and update your content and add new content. You really want to make sure that that CMS is set up for you. So this is more geared towards a WordPress site. So WordPress is the CMS, and not every WordPress site is built equally, meaning that you could go buy a premium theme and you could go do all this stuff, and then like when it comes down to actually making your site look like the premium theme, it might not be as user-friendly as you thought. So making sure that you can log in, edit content, do maybe even make like some advanced functionalities, have your dev team like give you options in your CMS to like toggle things on and off and things like that. Just make sure it's as easy as possible for you and your team to update, especially when you need to push a quick update to the homepage because the CEO needs to make an announcement and you don't want to be bogged down by having to hit up the dev team to make a simple content change. Number 7, you need fast, reliable hosting. YohDev uses WP Engine for all of our client hosting because of some key indicators that we found to be very important when you're hosting a WordPress site. So number 1, it needs to be fast, it needs to be modern, and it needs to be able to basically be served across the world using like a CDN or a content delivery network, ensuring that it's going to load fast no matter where your users are. The other aspect of WP Engine that we really like is the multi-environment approach, meaning that you can have your live environment, your staging environment, and your dev environments all separate so that your dev team can work on new features and new updates that potentially could break the site on a safe, secure dev environment. When all those features and new updates are ready, it can move to the staging environment where content editors can start inputting content and stakeholders can review for final release. And then once all that's done, you can push that live and go to the live environment knowing that nothing's gonna break. Auto backup restore is another reason why WP Engine is great. It'll automatically take backups and do a full restore. WP Engine also has a way to work on your site locally using their WP Local tool, which is really nice that you can actually just pull your site down from WP Engine and work locally on your machine so that you're not messing up any environments that maybe the team's collaborating on up in the cloud. And most importantly, whether you go with WP Engine or another host, having great support. You can hit a chat bot, you can talk to an expert, they can help you through some issues that maybe you don't want to take to your dev team because it's more of a host related thing. So having a solid support that actually knows what they're doing when it comes to WordPress is very important. And finally, last but not least, number 8, document any critical changes that's either made by content editors or developers before actually finalizing and releasing your updates. So having a nice history, a change log per se, to make sure that if anything got released that shouldn't have, we can easily look back and we can check and we can revert things quicker. When it comes to the dev team, following DevOps best practices and to ensure that we are working on the code in a way that's allowing us to track the changes and effectively and safely work on the code without breaking things. And that's a really important step. So that was my 8 tips on ensuring that your WordPress site is performing at the highest level. If you have any concerns about your WordPress site or you really just want an expert to take a look at it, check the link in the description. We're gonna give you a free website analysis that'll go over a technical SEO audit to determine if you're up to par with the latest technical SEO trends, a page speed audit to see how you compare against Google's Core Web Vitals, and an overall UX UI, which stands for user experience, user interface manual review from one of our team members to determine if your user journey is effective and if your UI is designed in a modern, consistent way.